Hi, welcome to Taste of Florida Tropics. My name is Sonia Vaquero. Welcome back. I hope you're watching our Florida series. Today we have a guest, Mr. Reed Olszack. He is the chair of the Tropical Florida Advisory Council. Now, this is a council that has been appointed by the legislator to the Florida State Department of Agriculture. Welcome, Reed. How are you doing?
Thank you, Sonia. Very well. It's so nice to see you.
So nice to see you and to be with us today. Reed is a very important person, a very key player in the Florida agriculture. He's been around lots of years and has so much knowledge and information, and I thought it would be very important and crucial to inform our community with what's going on with our agriculture. So let me just ask you a little bit so we get a little history on yourself. Reed, how did you get involved in agriculture?
Well, I did not have an agricultural or horticultural background growing up. I grew up in Miami, and I grew up eating Hayden mangoes out of our Hayden mango tree in our yard and having guava fights in the neighborhood, but I never thought about growing anything until after I had left the university. I was kind of taking odd jobs and wandering around the planet, so to speak, and I ended up in Central America, and I was riding on an old rickety bus through a banana plantation. This little kid was passing me this amazing fruit that actually looked like a hairy, I couldn't even describe it. It turned out to be a rambutan, and I'm eating these things, and I'm going, this is insane, this is amazing, I've never seen anything like this. And it really opened up a whole world to me that I'd never known it existed. I came back to the States, I went back to school, and I got my degree in horticulture from the University of Florida. Subsequently, I came to Homestead on a graduate class in tropical fruit production, and then I was asked to interview with Brooks Tropicals, the largest grower, packer, and shipper of tropicals within the United States. And they hired me, and I became a field manager for them, and that started my career in horticulture. One of our other guests on the show, Mark Ellenby, worked alongside of me, and there were a lot of us horticulturalists, trained horticulturists, that were entering into the field through Mr. Powell Brooks's ideas and truly his vision about what he wanted his company to be.
Excellent, and that is a very successful, one of the largest right here in our Redlands area. Right. And so then you started, you left from Brooks, and then you became a grower yourself?
No, actually, in 1976 I began with Brooks, and in Mr. Brooks's infinite wisdom, he encouraged his managers to actually go into business for themselves, which is kind of strange when you think about it, but it makes a lot of sense because we became very, very good growers because we had our own farm. So I planted my first farm in 1983. So all the while I'm learning all my little tricks that I'm using in his organization and hopefully helping him prosper and be more profitable. I left the company in 1996. At that point I had about 27 acres of lychees, longans, carambolas, and avocado groves, and I found it very, well, it was challenging, but it was lucrative, I have to say. And it's been a very great business for me, and it has afforded me a lot of opportunities, such as working with the Tropical Fruit Advisory Council and the tropical fruit growers.
So you became very involved in this industry and was appointed chair for the Tropical Fruit Advisory Council. And like I said, it is from the Florida State Department of Agriculture.
Yes, there was a legislative act, the Tropical Fruit Policy Act, that one of our growers, Brent Probinski, helped shepherd through the legislature, and it formed the Tropical Fruit Advisory Council, and I just happened to be the rotated-in chair this time around. And luckily we were able to secure some grant money over the years, and they were small grants, and then 2 years ago, or 3 years ago now, we were able to secure a very large grant, as you well know. And we asked you to come aboard and be our grant administrator, and I have to tell the audience out there that Sonia has done an incredible job for us with the association. We'll talk a little bit more, I hope, about what we are doing as far as consciousness raising and marketing programs.
Exactly. No, thank you. And I'm so happy to be with this organization. And I myself have learned so much on the agriculture and some of the challenges that tropical fruits have. Just having the awareness that not too many people know these wonderful fruits that are grown right here in our backyards, and how important it is to support our local growers and our local agriculture, because if these growers don't have, growing all these fruits? If we don't, who's going to grow our fruits? You know, where
well,
is this coming from?
There are plenty of people out there who will grow.
But we need to support our country ourselves.
I always like what Australia calls their agriculture department, and they call it, it's either the Division or the Department of Primary Industry. Primary industry, meaning #1 industry in their country. And I would like to think that we as Americans hold our agricultural industry in the same esteem.
Exactly.
Sometimes that isn't the case because of world markets and globalization, and that is, as you said, one of the larger challenges for us.
Yeah.
In the marketplace, just as a quick example, I grow lychees or lychees, however you want to pronounce it, and in the last few years we've been besieged by imports from overseas. China is now in the deal, Taiwan is in the deal, Thailand is close behind, and they're able to produce fruit, and it's decent quality fruit, don't get me wrong, it's good quality fruit, but they're able to sell it sometimes at what it costs a grower like myself to pick and pack it.
Yeah.
So I have to
Our costs are much more higher than
extremely higher.
Abroad.
Higher. I mean, it's no secret that China is our biggest trading partner because their products and services are so cheap.
Exactly.
So I think the challenge to the growers in this new millennium, if you will, is to find the niches, find the customers who appreciate locally grown produce that isn't traveling thousands of miles and has a more or less safety guarantee that any chemicals that are being used on this fruit have already been approved with stringent conditions under the federal guidelines.
So this organization, the Tropical Fruit Growers, has been around for close to 15 years, I would say, and you know, their vision has pretty much stayed the same. I mean, they're trying to promote their industry and everything. However, there's been many goals out there that they've wanted to meet, and like you said, one of them is to bring more awareness.
Yeah, I think our vision has really evolved when the Tropical Fruit Growers of South Florida, which is a grower member-driven organization as opposed to the Tropical Fruit Advisory Council was an appointed board. When they started out, it was really to help the growers grow a better crop, primarily. Give them information. Is there a new problem that we're seeing that
some of the pests
some of the pests, yes, exactly.
Yeah, things like that.
But it evolved into more of a mission to create, as you just said, a greater awareness of our local Florida products. Everybody at one time has been in the Chinese restaurant and seen lychee or lychee fruit on the menu for dessert. We grow it fresh. We can produce it in very good quantities, and we can provide it fresh to the public, and it's a completely different type of food, if you will. It's like eating a fresh peach as opposed to a canned peach.
Exactly. And
so those are, again, the advantages that we try to capitalize on with our industry.
Excellent. So the Tropical Fruit Advisory Council you were mentioning did receive a large amount of money in order to support these efforts. And the Tropical Fruit Advisory Council has been very steadfast in a lot of these things, like bringing more retail awareness, because still the fact is that a lot of the community are not aware with all the different types of tropical fruits that we have. For example, the mamey, which are maybe more ethnic type fruits. Maybe the Hispanics are more aware with the guava and the mamey. They use it more. The Asians with the lychees and the longans. We also have the carambola, which is, I'm sorry, a great fruit, a very versatile fruit that can be used in so many things, and just exactly that.
Yes, well, we approached it in 3 ways. We approached it from the pure retail end. And as you referred to, we are financing in-store demonstrations to supermarkets all over the country so that consumers can walk in. There will be somebody who is, and everybody out there has seen this, you walk in, they're cutting something up, they're frying something, they're cooking something, and they're asking you, do you want to taste?
Yeah, especially on the weekends. You get a full stomach going to the supermarket, tasting everything.
Your way through. So we figured, why not finance? We have this grant money. We made grants available to the packing houses, the local packing houses, to provide in-store demonstrations to places like Publix, places like Whole Foods, places like Wild Oats, across the country, really, all the way through the Midwest even, to expose consumers to star fruit, carambola, sliced up, maybe in a salad, a mamey shake, or just slices of mame sapote that they've never seen before. Because education is the key. If anybody has walked into a supermarket, I'll give you an example. I was in a supermarket the other day, and there were nísperos or cepadillas, and there was no signage. And I watched at least one consumer walk up, and they looked at the fruit. They had no idea what they were looking at. There was no sign telling them what it was. There was no price, and this was awful. And they picked it up, and they looked at it. They couldn't figure out what to do with it, and they set it back down and walked away.
You see?
Had that consumer had at least some rudimentary knowledge that had some signage that said, eat it when it's soft, it'll taste like a pear mixed with brown sugar. You know that at least a percentage of people are going, wow, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Let me try this. I know now that I'm going to let it get soft, and I'm going to cut it open, and it's going to be pear-like.
Exactly.
See, that's the associations that we're trying to make. So we have the retail side. We also have the culinary side. We believe that, and actually the genesis of this idea, I believe, came out of the Brooks organization, that if you can get the chefs and the culinary people to utilize, so when you go out to a restaurant and they serve you sliced star fruit in a salad, or they serve you lychees in a salsa or whatever you want to call it, then when you go back to the supermarket and you see it on the shelf, if you've had a good experience, you're going to say, wow, I remember eating that at that great restaurant we ate in. Let's try this.
Kind of set the standard, and then you want to do it at home. You want to impress your family. And
at the same time, we've got an effort with the Dade County School Board where we're introducing tropical fruits to the school lunch menu. So again, when the student has slices of star fruit on their plate, let's say, and they enjoy it, and then they're in a supermarket with their parent, and they see the fruit,
the children are
they're going to say, hey, I ate that the other day. That was great. Let's get one.
Let's get some. Exactly. Exactly. And you know, another major component to this grant that we've been working on is we had an antioxidant research, a very in-depth scientific research on these fruits, and we were pleasantly surprised with the findings. Can you tell us a little bit about?
Well, we were more than pleasantly surprised. You know, we had heard the lore, carambolas are this, you know, guavas are that, you know, but it was nothing scientifically proven. And you know, in this day and age, you just can't make outlandish claims for your product. But we contracted with Dr. Elizabeth Baldwin at the USDA laboratory in Winter Haven, Florida, and she subjected all our fruit, and you know this because you spearheaded the project, but she subjected all the fruits to rigorous testing, and we found out that the antioxidant levels on some of these fruits, such as carambola and red guava, are rivaling blueberry, which is, nobody really knew this, and now we have yet even another advantage to tout the health benefits of these delicious fruits and interesting fruits. So that's been a great boon to our
that's very interesting. Yeah, the white guava, the green guava, and mamey, all these fruits are great in antioxidants. So let's take a short break. We'll be right back. Don't miss us. Come back.
Girl, you're my angel, you're my darling angel, and closer than my peeps you are to me, lady. Yo, this is Rayvon. A lot of people may not think that they can get infected with HIV or AIDS. Every hour, someone under the age of 21 gets infected and they don't even know. You may think you know your partner, but you're probably wrong. A person may look healthy and be infected with HIV. It's smart to talk about HIV before you get intimate. Don't let the heat of the moment be the end of your life. Sex can be deadly if you don't protect yourself. Be smart, get tested, and use a condom. Know your status. Rewind, come again. Save you and others from HIV. Testing takes place in offices near you. Find out about prevention and treatment for HIV or AIDS. It's safe, it's free, it's confidential. So if you're between the ages of 13 and 24, call 1-877-HIV-TEEN and get tested.
Hi, welcome back to Taste of Florida Tropics. I'm Sonia. Today we're sitting here with Mr. Reed Olszack from the Tropical Fruit Advisory Council, and we are talking a little bit about this council, what it has done, and we were discussing a couple of its initiatives, which is to bring more exposure and more awareness to these tropical fruits, to the Florida tropical fruits that are grown right here locally in the Homestead area. And we were targeting 3 different areas, which is the retail industry, the culinary field, and also the nutritional aspects. And we were just finishing saying how high these Florida tropical fruits and antioxidants have been, and we never even knew it. We just had the study done, and the carambola was a big surprise actually, because it's not a fruit that has a very rich color or anything like that. And normally that's kind of correlated with the richness in antioxidants. For instance, the blueberry, it's
right.
It's
even though the fruit is yellow,
exactly,
what Dr. Baldwin was saying was it doesn't have a very high vitamin C level, and that's what everybody associates with antioxidants. But in spite of its reasonable vitamin C level, it is loaded with antioxidants. Exactly. So it's even more rich in antioxidants than you would expect. Yes.
Exactly. And the guava, for instance, has more vitamin C than oranges. So they were right up there with the blueberry, as you mentioned.
It makes a great barbecue sauce too.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Now let's talk a little bit about the industry. How our industry has changed in, I mean, back in the 50s, we wanted different things. Our palates have changed, our eating habits have changed. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, the South Florida tropical fruit industry, I think, got its early start in the 50s. And then, interestingly enough, when the island of Cuba went communist, part of the tropical fruit supply for this, certainly the Northeast and the Southeast, dried up. So it enabled the growers here to expand their plantings because markets began to open up, demand began to open up. So they began to plant more avocados, they began to plant limes, the lime industry developed, and then the mango industry developed in the middle to late 50s due to Ed Mitchell discovering and patenting, I don't think it's patented, but discovering and introducing a variety called the Tommy Atkins mango, which can ship very well.
Yeah.
So that fostered a great growth. And that growth continued right on through the 60s and into the 70s. Then as the 80s came into being, people were very, very interested in new things. All of a sudden, the kiwi was the star. Exactly. What people don't know is there's a great article called Kiwi, the 18-year success story. The kiwi had been around for 18 years until Frida Kaplan out in California decided to take it on and be its champion, and she marketed the heck out of that fruit, and you see them now year-round. All the time. So we were doing the same thing with tropical fruits. Everybody wanted the latest and greatest, so the weirder the better. The crazier looking fruit didn't even have to taste good. Yeah. Well, that whole fashion faded, as they normally do, and people came back to comfort food, meat and potatoes. They wanted to eat steak, apples, oranges, just the basic stuff. And then there was another explosion, and part of it was fueled by imports because of the global economy, and depending upon how you feel about it, our government's ability to foster more imports and create more of a world market condition, things became more available. The Mexican mango industry flourished and blossomed to where now the U.S. mango industry is nothing, and the Mexican mango industry now is the preeminent mango industry, I believe, in the world for export. So you see where some of our fire has been taken from us. And as growers, we have to continue to look for the niches. We have to find the work the seams, as I was saying before, to emphasize that we have fresh Florida product. The consumer does have a choice. There is no current country of origin labeling law in the United States. Unfortunately, it's being stymied in Congress because of some very powerful lobbies who would prefer not for people to know where they get their produce. And that's a political statement on my behalf. So that is not a policy from the tropical fruit growers. I want to make that very, very clear. But at the same time, Florida has a labeling law, and Publix, so in supermarket, is very, very good about letting you know where your product comes from. So if I want an orange, and I don't particularly want to buy an orange from, say, Spain, I want to make sure I buy a Florida orange. I may not even want to buy a California orange because I'm a grower and I'm very parochial. I want to support, I want my dollars to go back to the people in my community.
Exactly.
So that has been a challenge for us. Now, we had a great growth in tropical fruit acreage, and then Hurricane Andrew came in '92.
Yes.
And those who lived down here through that realized what a horror that was. You can imagine having your life ripped out of your hands. Essentially, that's what happened to most of these tropical fruit growers. Now, because most of the lime groves were blown away because of the weakness of the trees, people began to look even further at plantings of lychee and longan, and there became a large planting of acreage of those crops. Now, the time window to catch up there is about 3 to 7 years, so there was a lag when prices were still very, very, very good, and these trees were being grown to maturity. Now, once all those trees became productive and there became a large, large volume of fruit, that's where the marketing end of this became so important, because now the Asian customers were saturated. And the feeling was, if we can take some of the volume away and move it into chain stores, such as a Publix or a Whole Foods or a Wegmans or any one of a number of chains up north, then it's going to short the market. And so then everybody's going to get a little bit, not too much, as far as supply goes. And the price can be sustainable and profitable for the growers down here. But it is always a challenge, and there are new pests all the time. Witness the citrus canker debacle by allowing imported leaves and plants in undetected. We've now lost our lime industry here. 7,000 acres or so are gone. We have no lime industry
citrus,
anymore.
there is no citrus.
Right, and it's moving through the state. So one could say, well, one of the biggest challenges to try to get the U.S. government to fully fund their interdiction programs. And because of the way the budget is, and in Washington and things like that, you know, nobody gets 100% of what they want. Sure. And you have to prioritize. And unfortunately, with the emphasis on Homeland Security, a lot of the dollars, frankly, have been shifted. So as growers, we're faced with that. What's going to be the next pest? And how are we going to combat it? It's very, very difficult. We have great climate. We have a lot of sun. We have a lot of water. But because we're warm and we're humid, as you can understand, things grow here.
Yeah.
Not only the trees, but the pests and the disease. So, again, that's always a challenge here.
Those pests, and then as you said, even though we have great weather, we do have those hurricanes that are always right on our door, like we had last year. You know, 4 and 5 hurricanes that these growers have to prepare. It's not just, you know, prepare your house. It's what are you going to do with your trees? What if you lose all your, you know, your groves and your acreage? So these are these uncontrollable factors.
That is always a concern. And you may not get a Andrew category storm, but even if you have your fruit blown off your trees, you've suffered a loss.
Yeah, just recently we had that hailstorm, and it affected our passion fruit groves. So just something as, you know, as insignificant as a little hailstorm, but a grower is hurting because of that.
That's an excellent point. That's an excellent point, because yes, one of the largest blocks of passion fruit suffered a devastating hailstorm, and it was a very localized hailstorm. Where my groves were, and I don't have passion fruit, but where my groves are, I had no hail.
You see.
But south of me, about a mile, it was devastating.
Yeah.
So Mother Nature is very tricky.
And we cannot do anything about that, unfortunately. But we can, as you said, support ourselves and try to promote our locally grown agriculture. And as you said, it's very important to purchase, you know, if you can, Florida or local, if that. And some of the other challenges might be being some of the distribution, getting these fruits to our local restaurants and local retailers.
Yes, that's been a problem in the past. Not so much with the restaurants, yes. We just had a chef's luncheon with the growers yesterday on South Beach, and the chefs treated us to an incredible menu of using our fruit and concocting these wonderful, wonderful dishes. And we asked them, how can we get you this great product? And they said, we want it. There's just a disconnect there, because on a very small scale, you have to almost have a specialty purveyor who caters to the chef's needs, and we're talking about that. We're talking about that. The larger distribution firms, such as the Cisco's or whoever, aren't geared that way, but I understand they are now spinning small companies that actually do deliver gourmet quality food and goods to the higher end restaurants. So we had a very good response from the chefs, and we are working on that.
Well, that'd be a great opportunity for a distributor, you know, a local distributor, to be able to provide these fruits to, you know, these nice, fresh, quality, high quality fruits to these South Florida high-end kind of restaurants, all on South Beach, a lot of Aventura, like Chef Allen's, and things of that nature. So what are do you want to talk a little bit about what are in our future? What's our
you know, when you're a grower, when you're a grower, I always think of myself as a one-trick pony. I only know how to do one thing, and that's grow fruit. You know, if I had to be transplanted to a northern clime or some other part of the world, I wouldn't know what to do. But we're always on the lookout for new varieties, a bigger, a better, a tastier, a more productive. In the case of lychees, we're looking at several different new varieties of lychees. A new star on the horizon is the dragon fruit. And the dragon fruit is a very, very exotic fruit that looks like nothing else in the market.
It's also referred to as the pitaya.
Yes.
For another name for it is pitaya, or a strawberry pear as well. And yes, it is a newcomer.
A lot of plantings are being made of that, and the chefs are catching on because the people can go to our website and view some beautiful photographs of this fruit. And it makes its own container in a sense that it's almost like a melon, like you can scoop out the inside, and the outside almost looks prehistoric or otherworldly. It's, you know what I'm talking about, and hopefully the viewers will get to sample some of it at some of the festivals and some of the restaurants as they go out. And I encourage the viewers, when you're in the produce department, talk to your produce manager. Yeah. Ask them what's good today, what's interesting today, because they know, and they're very, very happy, because the produce manager are really the unsung heroes of our industry.
Exactly.
If we have a good produce manager who understands our product and presents it well and sets it out there for the public to see, then they're our best friend.
Very
interesting. They're our absolute best friend.
Yes, we gotta ask our produce managers what we want. I want to thank you, Reed, for all your information.
Thank you,
I want to thank the viewers. I want you to come back and join us again on Taste of Florida Tropics. I'm Sonia. I'm out of here. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.